It's gonna be awkward.
One. Boom, welcome back. Here we are.
We're doing it again.
We're back.
We're back. Yeah, we
I don't get it. You do
Last
that.
week,
weren't here.
but we thought it'd be funny. Z wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, I was under the weather and I wasn't sure what I had, so we were just playing it safe. You know, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna come
Z
in
is a
here and cause
hypochondriac.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna come and cause problems. Well, there's also a pandemic going on,
No,
so
I
I'm
know.
not trying to fucking, get everyone sick.
Thank
but
you.
no one else around me, and I've been to the office and home, has had it, so it was weird. And then, so I just wasn't feeling good, so I took the rest. And then we also, on top of that, thought it'd be really funny to, after talking about consistency and how important it is,
We skipped it. We skipped a week.
skipped a week. But that's the other thing that's important to realize. A little quick lesson from that is that I think we taught everyone the ultimate lesson that it's consistency, but it's also proportion and balance.
Well, but it's more about consistency in messaging and personality than it is about frequency.
Bingo.
Is that what you meant to say?
It's probably what I wanted to say. I can't even think about wanting to say that like that, but
yeah, dude. So that's lesson learned there,
but we talked about frequency last time and how frequency is not the answer.
No, I know, but we were just proving it now.
Mhm,
We
yeah.
were proving it, and something that we've always been consistent with is keeping our word.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, when we say we're gonna do something, we do it.
We don't give a damn what they think.
Yeah, we do this for us. And the last time we were doing this, we said we were going to do self-awareness.
Yeah. So we're sticking to our guns, and we're gonna do that, week off or not. The next episode, by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, is self-awareness.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're gonna get
To kind of wrap up to the whole kind of, it's not really a series because we're not really doing that, but it just is kind of like we said last time. It's a nice little capper of
this little run.
that we've been on.
It's been like a little mini run, and yeah, before we get too into it though, we do want to say thank you to the producers really of this show, the Patreon supporters.
Yeah, thank you to the Patreons.
Without them, we wouldn't be making any money.
And hats are officially in, so it's go time. So if you guys want to be supporters of the show and join the other producers of the show,
We'd like to make more money.
And and then also too, you get a free item and other free stuff on there that you should check out, like behind the scenes content. That's patreon.com/weberboys.
Yeah.
And we'll have that in the show description, but
Yeah.
anyways.
All right. So anyways, back to our show of self-awareness. I'd say it's the key, dude. It's the key ingredient to making the whole effectiveness of mastering yourself go.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think it's definitely the most important, I would say, to quote unquote finding yourself. Like, I think
Would you say it's first step?
I think it probably should be, but I don't think it is. It's not for most people. It takes a lot. People start their self-growth by doing things like by going to the gym. And I guess you have to have some self-awareness to want to start going to the gym. You're trying to better something. So there's some self-awareness to get yourself to go to the gym, but like to have self-awareness in all forms of your life, I don't know. I mean, I think that it kind of gets put on the back burner for people to really get honest with themselves. I'm talking about to find their real problems.
Something that I think is an interesting thing to bring up that probably would be brought up later in the show, but I'm going to bring it up early. And it's like how celebrities or wealthy business people are oftentimes like put in a camp of being in a bubble by regular people, quote unquote. And like how much of that is a disconnect between someone who has no self-awareness and someone who has a lot of self-awareness, like people who are quote unquote successful are typically more self-aware than people who aren't. And so what if that disconnect is self-awareness? Because like actors and actresses have a lot of time to themselves probably, and a lot of time away from a stressful working environment like a 9 to 5 situation. So it's probably an easier task to find yourself and become self-aware through that than it is going and just putting yourself in the system of the American dream.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of the American dream though? With what isn't that kind of what it is?
I mean,
They're
the
kind of
American
already doing
dream
it.
is 9 to 5, having a white picket fence.
No, kinda.
401k.
I think it's just starting. I think it's. I mean, I think it's different for.
I mean, if you got an immigrant mentality, it's different.
I think it's. Yeah, I think the American dream is just the overall idea of like you can make it here and you can kind of do anything you want here.
That's the immigrant mentality,
Or that's what it started at, and
yeah,
then it kind of turned
but
into.
then it morphed into, you know, being married, having a couple kids, the white picket fence, cushy retirement.
Just a cookie cutter life. Yeah, no, I got that. I don't know, dude, because I don't know if it always necessarily correlates to success, because I would say there's a lot of successful people that aren't self-aware. Like you see celebrities all the time that are
That's
like
true.
going off in the media, like they are not self-aware because some of the shit that they're doing. Like
That's true.
even like I don't know if we've already talked about this or not, but like The Rock, who came out and endorsed Biden,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't self-aware enough to realize that his prime demographic is probably from the right wing.
Right.
So for him to come out and do that and not realize, like, and maybe he's trying to, you know, like swing people or swing the middle people, or maybe he truly believes in it or whatever and he just doesn't care. But like the comments were just crazy about like, don't talk about politics, you know, don't support this, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you pissed off so many people now at what cost?
Well, The Rock's an interesting example because he's The Rock and his fan base is so big.
Yeah, it's
and it spans so wide that like you got to think about all of his football roots and like all of his you know, his black roots and like a lot of pockets of people that he's super close with and tight to might have felt a certain way had he gone the other way. So for him, if he's got to endorse one, which I don't really think he needed to do either one. You know, like I think it's perfectly okay to not talk about politics like we were always told as kids. But you know, I think if he's going to make a post and make it a thing, he wants to offend as few people he actually cares about as he can. And that was probably his decision-making process rather than not being self-aware. Because I think The Rock's pretty self-aware dude.
No, I'm sure he is. I was just using that as an example of like a situation, because like you got to know right now in these times in that situation to come out and say either side you're gonna get fucking
that's where you got to be self-aware to be like, all right.
And everyone's saying like vote, but like it's when you open Instagram it tells you to vote, so you don't really need The Rock to say like here's my pick, go vote.
Well, I think where that started, dude, was with Chris Evans accidentally posting his piece on
I don't know, man,
on the web, and he was like vote, and then all these people started like using their platform to make it a thing.
Yeah, and I don't know, man, and I'm not trying to spend too much time on this individual like part.
No, I know,
because I'm sure he is really self-aware. Like who am I to say what the fucking Rock is or isn't? But
The Rock may not have been so aware of how many right-wing fans he had.
I was just saying in general, like if you were to take that situation for say anybody and not even politics out of it, just like I guess to understand like your fan base, and maybe for some it's easier, maybe it's not, because like for us with a very small fan base that we have, like I can say that it's fucking impossible. I know I could count 5 people that I know for sure that listen, if that, and the other however many, I don't have a clue of who they are. So it could be anybody. You know, maybe it's the same for him to where he just has no idea, but I'm not even.
So maybe my point wasn't all that relevant. I was just thinking, because I think that there's more to the gap than just them being in a bubble. But I think that the self-awareness thing, I don't know. I was just trying to make an interesting correlation, I guess, early on.
I got you.
So I guess fuck me there. But
it's like Lincoln Logs.
Yeah, I mean, I think being able to be self-aware in your own walk allows you to better yourself in all areas.
Right. Yeah. And it goes so well with like the last few things that we've talked about too, with like and not to bring in social media. I think that's probably the main point I was bringing up The Rock, is just social media in general with being self-aware. Like when you're really self-aware, you can have, like we kind of talked about it this morning a little bit, like what are you doing? What are you posting for? Like why did you post that? For what?
Yeah.
Like what was your motive behind that? As we look back at our memories and we talk shit about it and make fun of ourselves about our posting pasts, but like you're trying to figure out, like when you're not self-aware of who you are, you're acting out in all these different ways to try and like, I guess, figure out your lane, but your social media lane doesn't even really matter, especially if you don't know your real lane in life.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
You don't owe your followers anything. Like there's always going to be content coming. There's always going to be something coming. And it's like, even this past week, when we really talk about it, and if we say nowadays, like if we don't want to do it a week, or we want to take a few months off like we did during the heat of all this, like we're gonna just do it, because we don't really owe it to anyone. It's not like people are just sitting around like waiting for content from us. Like there's so much content out there. Like they'll figure it out for however long we need to take.
Yeah.
But it's taken us all that time.
It did. Yeah, I mean, we weren't that self-aware to start out by any stretch.
No.
Dude. We felt like we had to be consistent and do it every single week
in order to be successful.
From the time we started until the time we died. That's what it took to be successful.
And then we had the awareness that it was like, okay.
The wake-up call that people don't care, and then it set in, and then it really set in. And then we've had some upticks along the way, and
then recently too, like we've been slow
up.
growth, which is good. Slow growth. We're moving up.
We're moving on up, and
like
so so. But there's a self-awareness that's been developed over that time, and a loss of fucks, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, that's gotten us to a more self-aware state that says we don't really owe content to people except for our Patreons. But we don't owe posting on social media. Like, I don't owe anyone a fucking Instagram story.
Yeah.
Of me,
fucking
doing a
off.
TikTok dance.
Yeah.
Fortnite TikTok dance. It was cool when the weather guy did it. Like, when the weather guy did it in that news station, that went viral.
That's the thing, dude. You always get some cool ones, and then it just blows way out of proportion.
The originals are always cool, dude. But then you get all these spin-offs, and it's the spin-offs that just get lazier and lazier and lazier each time. And I think the root of it is that there's this innate feeling of I owe my followers something, and that's a self-awareness thing.
Yeah. I mean, it really is because
Why are you so giggly?
I'm just fucking laughing because you fucking I was about to talk and then you fucking kept going and then you just brought it back, and that's a self-awareness thing, and it just made me laugh because it made me think of your John Favreau impression, because it came out very John Favreau.
Oh, okay.
So thanks for calling me out and not making it weird for everyone.
Sorry,
but like
dude.
fucking
You're just being all weird and giggly.
well, you just sounded very John Favreau and it was making me laugh.
All right. Well, for the
But anyways,
yeah.
if anyone that doesn't know John Favreau, look him up and you know who he is, and Justin can do a good impression of him. And if you want to see that, check it out on Patreon. Anyways, yeah, no, I agree though. Like, I just think it's definitely the most important aspect that you have to have in order to
What,
grow.
self-awareness?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can't grow without it. And I think that when you focus on self-awareness and like that's your main goal to work on and be like elite at, then everything else I feel like falls into place more so than
How many people feel like they're all set on getting better, and so it's like they feel like they've already mastered whatever they're doing to the point of
well, is it that or they just don't care enough to get better? Like, so you say, like, say you have a job at work and it's just kind of a mundane job. Like, for example, I've had one where you're like sitting at a desk, you're on the computer, and you're just doing like process based things. You can't really get better at. I mean, I guess you can, but like you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over again. You can get better at it. You just don't really. If you don't have the desire to get better at it or get up out of your situation, then, So I think it's more so, I think that's a valid question to be asked, is how much is the desire there? Because like I can tell you for me now with what I do for work, of course, I go home and I want to study things. I want to get better at every aspect of it. And on my self-awareness level, I'll critique the shit out of what I do, almost like I'm the hardest critic. And then,
but there has to be an honesty element to that, because I think a lot of people would tell themselves that they're their hardest critic and they're a perfectionist, and I think that that's a lot of people's go-to thing.
it is.
But there's an element that's missing there, and that's honesty and an objectivity. If you're not willing to be objective about a situation and put on your logical pants that says 2 + 2 = 4, then you've missed the boat. You can't possibly be self-aware if you're not willing to be honest.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's another, I guess, huge part to bring up is honesties. You have to, I guess you can't have one without the other kind of thing.
Well, it's always been the best policy,
Honestly, as much as I hate to say it, I don't know if other people had this growing up in school, but do you remember at Wagner, the pillars?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Dude, those are all so important still to they're the 10 commandments for a kid, I feel like. And if you don't keep them up until you're an adult, I don't fuck with you as an adult, because you are.
There was how many? 6 or 4?
No, I think there's 10.
No, there wasn't fucking 10.
There wasn't 10 of them?
No, dude. I think there was only 4.
Okay, maybe no. It was okay. It was being trustworthy. It was caring.
Oh,
there's responsibility. It was honesty, respect, and hustle and loyalty.
No, dude.
Hustle, loyalty, and respect.
I don't know. Those are all super,
I think it was 7.
Those are all super important.
Or 6, but they were really important. And like, I don't know. I think it's an ongoing battle for myself, being self-aware. Like sometimes you catch yourself like when you put a lot of work into something, I've noticed, and maybe it wasn't connecting at first. Like, I'm saying like more creative tasks. Like, say like you get down and sit down on a project and like creatively it's just not clicking at first and you know it. And then you finally get going on it and then you finally feel like you're starting to see it, but you've been looking at it for so long. So it's all starting to kind of come together. And then you go to show it to whoever and they don't understand it or they don't like it or this needs to be changed or that needs to be changed. And then at first you're really upset because of what you had to go through with that, you know, whatever you're working on. And then you get upset and then you have some time to think and, you know, have some awareness and honesty with it and go, okay, yeah, I definitely rushed some parts here, just tried to get it done here. You can see where things weren't clicking here. And then things kind of start to open up with it. So,
yeah, I think it's within everyone's makeup to be at their heart honest, you know, with themselves. And but I think that definitely life can make it difficult to be honest with yourself and with others, but mainly with yourself. And you know, I think that something that's helped me be more self-aware is having a better relationship with the big man upstairs, you know, God.
yeah.
And you know, just over the years, like we were always big and like going to church in our younger years, and over the years we've gotten away from that and still haven't really gone back into that, but the relationship can still strengthen, and it's through those conversations that you feel like you're able to find yourself better. I've felt so.
Yeah, I would agree because, like, you know what church is and what religion is different from what God is. So
Yeah,
you
like
don't
God is
you
love.
you don't need to go to church to strengthen your relationship. That's how I feel. I feel like, you know, yeah, no, and it's definitely helped me with self-awareness.
The thing about church is it's a place to worship and it's a place to
Come together.
come together, but like you can do that in a lot of different ways. Like God doesn't have a strict like this is how it has to be in order for you to be worshiping, you know.
Well, they were saying, I was watching this, that jam band video. They were saying what they used to do in the 60s when they would take psychedelics and listen to the music. The music wasn't just the music. It was literally like it was a spiritual get together, and they would be able to see like the other sides of life and the
there
other
are a lot of-
dimensions.
a lot
But
of
they said it was like
people
a
talk like that.
religious experience.
Yeah, like Rogan's always talking about how like he's dealt with godly beings through the use of
Well, Aubrey Marcus too, with his experience with the demons and an actual
Mhm.
like demon, like it's crazy. That's if you want to get self aware, I guess that's the trick.
yeah, I don't know about that. But
That's what they say. That's what some of those guys say. Some of the real spiritual ones.
it can be hard. It can be hard to spend time in your own attic.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it, dude. It's been a minute. I mean, it's been, but not that long. You know, it's been a couple years before the show. But there's like different things that come up with, and I think one of the main, other than be with yourself and self growth, self awareness being really important. I think the other most important spot for it to be in is within your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly with like your spousal relationships, but even friendships. But like spousal relationships, I feel like it's so huge, and it's definitely underlooked.
And business too.
And business relationships for
Spousal
sure.
and business.
Yeah, I guess they're both. I mean, those are two separate topics. So yeah, with relationships, though, I feel like it's super important because if you start out a relationship and you're trying to be something that you're not, you end up 6 months down the line being yourself, and then the problems start to kick in, and then everything else starts to happen. But I mean, there's just so many layers to it, though. That's where it gets tough, is like if you're not self-aware with where you're at financially and you bring that into a relationship, I mean, you're not self-aware with how you look. And honestly, I think it's important to be self-aware with why that person's with you, or like what their motive was originally.
Well, speaking of self-aware financially, dude, Shaylee and I have been watching this show, 90 Day Fiance, which I realize is a very popular show and has been around for a long time, but I'm just now getting around to it. In the first season, there's this dude who had this little mommy from, I think it was from Colombia, and her nickname was Pow. And this dude was in way over his head with this chick, dude. Like, this guy was still living at home in his bedroom, in his parents' house, in his bedroom that he grew up in, with the same decor from when he was a kid, dude. I'm talking shit on the walls, dude. This is the same house he went to grade school in.
Okay.
Same room. And like, he brings this chick back, like he's gonna marry her, and she's wanting to be bopping around the clubs, doing this thing, doing this and that. He was making good money, and they figured it out. Thank God, dude. Thank God. But it was not looking, the future was looking bleak for them, and it was stressful to get through, and thank God they did. But I wanted to bring that up for being self-aware financially, because my man was not. Thank God he figured it out.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like it's important, or even if you're like an older rich guy, I think if you're self-aware that you're older and you're rich and you got a younger woman in your life, you know, you can probably have the self-awareness to know what's going on there. And because when shit does hit the fan, or if it hits the fan, you're already halfway there. You're prepared. You're not blindsided. Right. But when I wasn't self-aware, and I've been in relationships, and I'm cruising along and I'm trying to figure myself the fuck out, and then all of a sudden you get dumped, and then you're like, whoa, how? Wait, what? What do you mean?
Well, they're always telling
let me try this out.
they're always telling you, dude, you got to be good with yourself before you go get tangled up with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And
love yourself before you can love anyone else.
Yeah, dude. And I really got to say that, like, for me, at least, I've been in relationships where I did not love myself going into it, and those relationships did not work out well at all. And the one I'm in now, I was a fan of myself, love myself going in.
Huge fan of yourself.
But like a true one, though, like not a pretender one. And then I'm having time of my life with Shaylee, and it'll just never end.
Yeah, and that's cool to see,
Proof's in the pudding, dude. Cliches are right.
A lot of them are, man. A lot of them are. I've noticed that, like, with myself, it's almost like this is one of like the first times that you feel like you actually are seeing everything around you, and like I'm starting to be more self-aware, starting to really love myself, finally getting to the place to where I want to be, I guess mentally, not quite physically yet. We'll be there, but overall, I think it's huge. Like, it's going to be huge for when I do, find a little mommy. Mm-hmm. And when I,
You'll
get
find
into
one,
that.
dude.
I know. But I'm not rushing it because I'm still, I'm still chilling and trying to find some of the stuff. And I've been having fun because I've just like, this is like the first time I'm starting to feel all those things. So you want to kind of like enjoy that a little bit. And you want to kind of just sit there and be like, all right,
This is going good.
this is going good. Because it's that first time, like, you're just cool with you, comfortable with you, being you.
Yeah, dude, that's a good place to be. I'm proud of you for getting there.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. Also, dude, I want to bring up on the viral challenge thing because D just posted something, and I've been thinking about it the last couple of minutes here, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm throwing Dad under the bus, because this Fleetwood Mac thing that's been floating around recently is kind of a different deal for me personally, because it's such a good song by such a good band that's so forgotten about today's day, that like anything that's culturally good for the game, I think is the more that we can spread that around, the better, because there are a lot of people who've never heard Dreams by Fleetwood Mac that are getting to hear it now.
And then there's a lot of people that had heard it when they're in such a good place in their life, and then it just brought them right back.
Yeah. And I think that spreading good shit is something that we're always going to be short
You
on.
cannot love Dogface, bro.
And we're always going to be short on good shit, good cultural shit. And you can't share it enough.
But it's anything, dude. Like the cinnamon challenge, man. People are eating pounds of cinnamon or sniffing cinnamon, and it's getting
what I was
viral.
talking about.
Or fucking,
and the fucking Fortnite dances and the TikTok shit.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I have the issue with. Because for what? Like, you're hurting yourself. No one's getting anything out of this. It's like we talked about this.
You're snorting protein powder.
We talked about it when we were talking about Jackass a ways back, how there were all the copycats and spin-offs of people trying to do that. And they're not self-aware to realize, hey, dude, I'm not Bam. And I don't have fucking the production team.
You should be Bam for Halloween, dude.
Bam now?
You
fucking douchebag.
Old Bam, dude. Shave the...
I'm not shaving
fucking
again,
beard.
dude. I'm not shaving again for Halloween.
How you gonna... I guess... Forgot. You're Thor, not Iron Man.
Fat Thor.
That'll be fun.
And Iron Man wears a mask.
I'll be Loki.
Yeah. I'm going to be Fat Thor.
Yeah, but when you take the mask off, dude, you have a beard, dude. You're like the creepy guy at the kid party. If you're Iron Man with a suit on, you better be groomed up under that fucking mask, because Iron Man doesn't always just have a mask on. Can't have a beard, dude, or a 5 o'clock shadow. Get it out of there.
I gotta be starked up.
You need to be starked up with the weird beard. Anyways.
Yeah, self-aware. Speaking of self-aware, dude, and weird beards, Machine Gun Kelly, real self-aware in his career transition.
And he's real self-aware with where he's at career-wise. Yeah.
And that's a dude who switched lanes from being a rapper to now being a punk rock guy. And like, he's brought me right back to the early 2000s.
Yeah.
A
lot of people, I think.
And he had that song, My Bloody Valentine, that's in the new Tony Hawk game.
Yeah. That's where I heard it, because I was like, wait, Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah.
And that's when I was meaning to text you about it a while back.
Yeah.
Whenever that game came out.
But he's self-aware enough to realize, I'm not a rapper.
Yeah, because he went head-to-head with Eminem, and he's like, dude, what's the point?
He didn't like
it. Go get, Megan Fox.
He didn't like what it brought out in him, and so he got to a more
because he was such a fan of you know what it seemed like the most? It seemed like a kid who was such a big fan of someone, got to the top of, now I'm not gonna say like got to the top, but he got to the top in some ways with some songs. Like, some of the songs got to the top charts. I wouldn't say they were number one, but I'm sure some of them were, top 50, top 100 on iTunes at some point. So, nonetheless, I think the Eminem stuff happened. He was such a fan of him, and he saw, how the game was, or it's like the behind the scenes. It's like, don't meet your heroes kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think he met his heroes. and then was like, fuck, dude, I'm gonna go get in a different community of other heroes because he's got a.
But he just seems like he fits in more with what he's doing now, and it seems like I think he's gonna have a lot more success in the music industry in this lane.
Well, dude, the charts were full of it.
Now
That's how we found it.
now I'm gonna do this. The opposite.
Or that's what we were looking at earlier. Not how we found it.
The opposite of Machine Gun Kelly is Post Malone. He was self-aware enough to realize I'm never gonna make it as a metal band, so I'm just gonna run with this White Iverson thing, and fucking be a rapper now, because White Iverson was a joke.
Yeah, that's true.
He was in a metal band, and then when the offers started coming in, he was self-aware enough to realize, here's my shot. I'm not gonna make it as a metal guy. I can do this.
Make a ton of money here, and then
I'm sure his live shows are great, dude. I would love to hear in the comments, which I know we're not there yet, but if we are there, and I would love to hear in the comments if anyone's been to a Post Malone concert. Does he do a lot of covers? I bet he would do a lot of covers, a lot of cool.
I could see it.
A lot of really cool covers.
You would hope, but maybe his audience wouldn't. Like what I think would honestly be a good idea.
I don't think you care though.
I know, but nah.
If you're a performer in his shoes, and you're on stage, you're controlling the stage, like you're the one who decides they've already given you their money. You've already got their money.
True, but
and then you're putting out pop shit the next week that makes them re-fall in love with you if you piss them off. Post Malone's really got it worked out, dude. He sold out right.
Yeah, I think he did. But what I think he does, I think he's got to do the same thing. I think he's got to go full circle and do what MGK did, and then realize that you're not going to be a pop star forever. So what he should go do is go play guitar with Machine Gun Kelly and play lead and backup vocals. Then we got a new band.
No, I want.
What do you mean? No,
that's just a lot of. We need to spread out some of this talent. I think what we could do is get Post Malone to take over Rome's spot in Sublime, and we could really get Sublime going again to kickstart that. And then if he wants to start his own like kind of rock band from
if they
there,
do maybe do a super group,
then you could do it. But then have MGK, have Colson Baker go and join Blink-182 as the front man for them.
Well, you got to remember there's a free agent out there, Josh, former Chili Peppers guitarist.
Yeah, and
now that John's back, so you've got Josh Klinghoffer, he's still fucking phenomenal, dude. He's really good.
He'll find a home somewhere, no doubt.
That's what I'm saying. No doubts. I don't think they're playing still.
But I think if you do those two moves, dude, you've got a good landscape for music in the next few years.
Good. But it's going to take self-awareness to get there.
Sure will, dude.
And
what a topic self-awareness is.
Dude, it really is. It's hard because I didn't realize how broad it was. I always felt like it was so cutthroat. It's like you're either self-aware or you're not. But as now that we're sitting here kind of talking about it more in depth.
It's a harder thing to talk about.
Yeah, because it's not.
How do you stay self-aware, I guess? Let's talk about some ways that you can, like, once you've gotten self-aware, you've figured out how to be honest with yourself. How can you stay self-aware? Well, I'll give you like something that can help is like diarying or
diarying.
Journaling. That's what I meant. Having a diary, keeping a diary, doing a journal. Having like something to write out how you felt throughout the day or or what happened in the day. Or like I heard a podcast a few years back that Rob Dyrdek was on, and he was talking about how he does 3 sessions of journaling throughout his day. He does one at the beginning, one at lunch, and one at night before he goes to bed. And he just has these like these 4 or 5 main things questions that he asks himself each day 3 times, and that helps him stay honest and self-aware. And I would be lying if I said I didn't try doing that and then quit,
Fall off, yeah.
you know, but
Yeah, I always quit with that kind of stuff too. I think for me,
it does help when you're doing it.
yeah. And I don't know, this may sound weird for people and it may not, but I think I'm just constantly in some kind of thought about an action I did or an action I'm about to do, or I'm always kind of having a conversation with myself in terms of like grading my effort, my energy level, and like really trying to analyze everything that goes into my actions and things that I do, and like how am I feeling exactly. So I'm trying to be really honest with myself with that feeling. And I think a lot of it started too with training. And when you're training really hard, my coach, Roland at Fight Ready, when I first started going there, I remember I was training so hard because I was just wanting to just be sick. And I was doing a bunch of stuff with weights and at the gym, and he's like, dude, you gotta chill out because, you know, you're too sore. You're coming in here. You're not able to fucking kick properly. You're all tight. This, and this. You got to take a step back, and you got to be able to be aware with your body, and you have to be able to feel your body and be able to read it and judge it and go, okay, I'm not going to do this today. I'm not going to do weights today, or I'm not going to train at all today. So I think it started there, just trying to really sit and be honest with how my body felt so it could perform better. And then as we got into business and other things, it was like, how can I be better at this? And then
That's cool.
You start asking yourself, just trying to analyze it.
Well, that's cool because when you have another person that you really respect in the mix, that like you're not gonna lie to them because they're gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like someone like a coach can see the effects of what's happening. That's why he's saying something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you lie to him, he's just gonna get pissed. And so that forces you to be honest. Same thing if you have a really healthy spousal relationship that has a lot of honesty in it,
Yeah.
and you communicate things to your partner, that's going to force you to be a lot more self-aware and honest with yourself, because inherently you have a relationship built on honesty, and so you're not going to bring dishonest self-awareness to that. Same thing with the God thing. I mean, that was a big like thing for me, bringing this back around. Like if you're in a prayer or a conversation with the Lord, you got to assume he's going to know if you're bullshitting him. If you're lying, you got to know he knows that. And so like you will find yourself catching yourself going, what the fuck am I saying, dude? You already know.
Yeah.
What am I even saying, dude? And so that to me was such a pivotal turning point in my relationship with God, because it now was like so beneficial to myself to be doing this. Like, I'm in the presence of the Lord. He's going to know if I'm lying.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because that's kind of how I always felt too about him. Like, can't be lying in my prayers, because I'm like, I don't want him to judge me because I'm lying to him, and now it's like different, and it's like he knows I'm lying, so I don't want it to just be.
I just always picture him doing this, one of these. When I start, I just picture him doing one of them, and I'm like, you're right, dude. You're right. Fuck me.
I remember listening to a podcast though, not to take you off, but that was talking about God, and it was this guy who was kind of like, I wouldn't say he's like anti like commercial religion, but definitely wasn't pro commercial religion and commercialized religion. And he was talking about God and what God is, and how God is like everything, and how he's inside of you and he's living within you. So like once I heard that, I was kind of like, that's interesting. And then like you kind of start thinking about it like, yeah, it's everything. So when you talk to yourself, it's like you're talking to God in a ways.
Yeah.
But like when I talk to myself, that's not like I talk to myself out loud. It's like internally having a conversation. Like I'm not like, all right, how's your day today? Oh, it was good. You know, I'm not out loud talking around like walking. That's when I say when I'm talking to myself. I just don't want people to think I'm fucking crazy. But
Right.
I mean, I am. But
Right. No, I know it's well, I mean, I think Fortress, who's the, I don't know what his title is at Child Help, but he's the head man in charge of the chapel. I think it's called chaplain.
Chaplain or not a bishop?
No, he's not a bishop, but I think he's the head chaplain guy.
I'm not good with
head chaplain at the chapel at the Child Help Village, and
or pastor.
When we were there, one of the times we were just talking about God and what he is, giving him a definition, and he said it so simply. He just said that God is love, and like when he said that was like a light bulb went off for me, and
yeah, me too.
And that helped, you know, because I'd been tainted, you know, like I don't love the idea of commercialized religion. And I think
me neither.
That if you really look into it, it might do more harm than good in some ways. But nonetheless,
but it helps. It also on the other side, it helps people, and
it does, and it helps people. It does. There's a lot of education,
a lot of community,
in it, a lot of education in it, a lot of, you know, a lot of stuff. But just not really for me right now, at the current state. But I do love the Lord, and I do value our relationship a lot because it's
still God-fearing men.
It's a solace of honesty. Like it's just, that's all it is. And for me, that's been very helpful and very important in keeping myself self-aware. I'm not gonna lie to the big man.
Shouldn't. I think another thing that we really need, especially now, like if everyone were a little bit more self-aware with how they felt about the actual issues going on in the world, there'd be a lot different conversations going on. I think that's the root of the issues. People aren't self-aware with what they truly feel about issues going on in the world, say politically, that when everyone finishes a conversation, it's always interesting because they're always like, I think we agree a lot more than we think we did going into this conversation. And it's like, well, probably fucking believe, but you're throwing out, you're not aware with how you actually feel about it. We got there after this 45 hell of a conversation fighting each other. Right. Not saying me, because I stay out of political arguments because I don't really, you know, whatever. Switzerland, but because that's where I'm moving, because fuck all this. No, I'm just kidding. But I just think that, like, if everyone had self-awareness in that, they'd be less gung-ho about right, wrong, this, and this. It'd be way more idea-centered because you're aware of the issue and you have the confidence in that, and you're past.
I wonder how interesting politics would be if there was no, like, if people weren't doing the politician's job for them. Like, you know how around election time, civilians become marketers for people running for office. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it for free, which is interesting. You know, and it's like they think that they're going to get someone to change their mind just because they say to. And that's always interesting to me. It like, what if there was none of that, and it was we only heard from candidates? Where would we be?
Well, I don't know, dude, because I think fear goes into it. People aren't aware how afraid they are of the idea, or how much fear has been built up that might not even be existing. That you're afraid of what life would be like from this quote unquote other side. So you're trying to fight so hard to rally up these people because those leaders on the other side have built up such a dark world on the other side that they need to rally people up with pitchforks to get everyone on board with this side because that side's so bad, and vice versa.
But how bad is the lack of self-awareness to think that you have the power to do that?
Fucking terribly bad.
You know, like it causes way more, it does way more harm than good.
100%.
When they say that we have the power and the right to vote, that doesn't mean we have the power and the right to argue with people in the streets about who they should vote for. You know, that's not the same. It's not the same idea. That wasn't why that was there. That's not what they mean. And I think that,
Of course, there's, First Amendment, freedom of speech and freedom of press and freedom of all that, but
oh yeah, I mean it's hard to get too into it without going too much into who you're going for, but it is just a bummer deal, I will say.
And it just starts with self-awareness, dude.
Yeah, like if people were more self-aware, they would realize that them campaigning for their people they're voting for is doing nothing for their cause. They're not helping.
Exactly. When you're self-aware and honest with yourself too, you're like, you know what? Me as one person can't do anything by even just making a post. What you can do is you can run for office, or you can start a charity, or you can donate money to things,
or you can vote, dude.
And you can vote.
You can vote, but swaying other people's vote is now getting wishy-washy with even being legal. Like there's that chick who is now getting in trouble for sending nudes to people who are voting for Biden.
Damn.
Saw that on Barstool.
Did not know that.
So that she was doing it, or that she was getting in trouble?
I had no idea about any of this.
Anyways, that's illegal, dude. Like you can't do that. And now we've just gotten to a point where everyone is a influencer for their candidate.
Yeah. Well, and then like I said, like the left has built up so much fear about how bad it is with Trump in office that they're doing whatever they can to get him out. They don't care who's going in for him. And then, same thing on the right side. They've built so much fear that there's no way impossible we can't let them in office. Right. Same fear is built up just on both sides. And I like to think that no matter who gets elected, things will work itself out. Sure, I think on both sides there's going to be some things to pick up at the end, but I think we're going to have to do that regardless. Yeah. There's going to be some pieces we have to pick up.
Yeah. Well, I think if we could all just be a little more self-aware, it'd be a bit more
better.
Yeah, a bit more better.
We'd get one step closer.
A bit more civil, dude. I'll tell you that. If everyone was a little more self-aware.
And we need that. We need civilization.
A lot of cops, dude, could use some self-awareness. Like, hey, maybe shouldn't be a cop.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
I'm not cut out for this.
A lot of people need to have those conversations, but don't, for fear that people are going to look at them differently. There's these insecurities that people create for themselves, and it makes you unable to be honest with yourself and have that self-awareness. But I think if we could just make mainstream our last 5 episodes, and not because we're saying gold, but just the concept of what we've been talking about, and take it to the streets, I think we'd have a lot more, at least, connected world.
For sure.
That's
what we hope for. I mean, Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, it's pretty much all I've got for self-awareness, at least today. You know, I'm still figuring stuff out with it. So maybe we'll come back a few years from now, episodes, got another stripe on my belt.
Yeah.
And I'll be ready to go and talk about this again and be like, guys, let me tell you, check this out. But, you know, I think right now, today, we're talking a little bit more conceptually.
Yeah.
And that's what we always do. So
that's where we're at. So,
that's going to be off.
Yeah, that's fine. We got that camera rolling and we're signing off anyways. So.
Yep.
Been another good week.
Coughing.
If any of you guys have any suggestions, you know, feel free to join the Patreon. If you're already on the Patreon, you got a suggestion for a show, throw it out.
It's a place where you can do that.
And
that's what you get to do.
And we'll get to it. And we're just gonna keep trucking along, dude.
We're gonna keep trucking. Do the Patreon if you want. That is patreon.com/WeberBoys. That's going to be in the show description. So just check that out if you want.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share.
Share with a friend. Leave a review.
On iTunes.
Pretty much all the stuff
Whatever
that takes time out of your
dude.
day that helps us.
Just whatever you can do to help us, that'd be great. And have a great week, dude.
Have a great week.
For those of you just tuning in, I'm Jay.
I'm Z.
Together we're Jay-Z. Chill. Ho.
It's gonna be awkward.
I don't get it. You do the math.